Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk Talk Speak podcast. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating transformation underway at, well, the automotive titan, Toyota.
Yeah, for decades they've really been the benchmark, haven't they?
Absolutely. The undisputed king of the road global sales leader, the pioneer behind that revolutionary Toyota production system.
Yes, yeah.
And just a name completely synonymous with rock-solid quality and reliability. They even had those financial reserves. People called them the Toyota Bank.
That historical dominance, it's really a testament to their, strategic foresight and just incredible operational excellence. They didn't just build cars, they built a whole global manufacturing philosophy.
So many others tried to copy it.
Right.
But as you know, the automotive world is being shaken up like never before.
Yeah.
Electrification, smart tech, connectivity. It's not the future anymore. It's happening now.
It's the present, yeah. It's accelerating incredibly fast.
And right in the middle of all this, we've got Akio Toyoda, now chairman, making some potentially, game-changing moves. There's a lot of buzz, a lot of speculation around this rumored 6 trillion yen.
Which is about, $42 billion US? Massive sum.
Huge. A personal investment and loan, reportedly, to acquire Toyota Industries Corporation, or TICO.
And TICO, that's had some serious historical weight, doesn't it? Founded by Akio Toyoda's great-grandfather. It's the original seed, the foundation the whole empire was built on.
Exactly. And even today, it's a major part supplier and holds, a 9.1% stake in Toyota Motor Corporation?
Right. Significant holding.
And you compare that to Akio Toyoda's current direct shareholding in Toyota Motor, which is less than 1%. So this potential acquisition is enormous.
We could be looking at one of the largest deals globally, and it's happening right when Japan's seeing a lot more M&A activity, corporate governance reforms.
Right. So the big question we're tackling today is, what are the strategic intentions behind this massive move, especially now with the whole industry in such upheaval?
Well, it really brings up questions about control, doesn't it? And direction. In times of huge change, you need a clear vision and, crucially, the power to implement it fast. Maybe this is about consolidating that control.
Okay, let's try to unpack all of this. Over the next hour or so, we'll take a structured look. First, we'll dig into the foundations of their global success.
Yeah.
How they expanded, the impact of TPS, that legendary quality culture, and their early lead in hybrids.
Can't forget the Prius.
Definitely not. Then we'll shift gears. Look at Toyota's current strategic layout, the challenges they're facing in future mobility, their bets on hydrogen with the Mirai, their move into battery electrics with the BZ4X.
Which has had a, shall we say, mixed reception.
And their moves in autonomous driving, including that big new partnership with Waymo.
Right.
And finally, we'll pull it all together. Look at how they might integrate their traditional strengths with these new disruptions, do a quick SWOT analysis, maybe offer some strategic thoughts.
And look at their prospects, really. Can they stay on top?
Exactly. Can they maintain that leadership? Sound like a plan.
Sounds comprehensive. Understanding the past is absolutely key here.
Couldn't agree more. Let's start by laying that foundation of hegemony, their global expansion road. It wasn't exactly smooth sailing from day one, was it?
Oh, not at all. That initial step into the U.S. market, late 50s with the Toyota Pet Crown, that was a tough lesson.
How so?
It was just wrong for the market, underpowered for American highways, seen as overpriced.
Yeah.
It really didn't work. But it drove home that vital need for proper market research, for localization.
A crucial early stumble then. But they learned fast.
They did. They quickly pivoted. By the mid-60s, 70s, you saw the shift to smaller, more fuel-efficient models.
Yeah.
The Land Cruiser had some success as a 4x4.
Right.
But the real game changer then was a Corona. They specifically designed it for the U.S. stronger engine, automatic transmission. That's when sales really started to pick up.
You showed they were listening, adapting.
Exactly,
Yeah.
addressing those specific criticisms. And then, of course, the Corolla arrived in the 60s, became this massive global bestseller, and boom. By 1975, Toyota was the #1 import brand in the U.S. Quite the turnaround.
Remarkable. But Europe in the 60s, that was different, wasn't it? Mature markets, strong local players like VW, Renault.
A much tougher nut to crack. They were entering markets with really established domestic industries, strong dealer networks. They started with individual dealerships, country by country. Growth was steady but slower. Setting up that European HQ in Brussels in 1970 was a big step for coordination.
And then the 80s brought trade barriers in Europe.
Yeah, protectionism started to rise, slowing things down a bit there. But that, combined with the U.S.-Japan trade friction around the same time, that really pushed them towards localization.
Towards that local production for local consumption idea. Export exporting just wasn't going to cut it long term with those headwinds.
Precisely. Which leads us to NUMMI in '84, that joint venture with GM in California. Fascinating move.
Yeah, what was the thinking there? Ease trade tensions?
That was part of it, definitely. But it was also invaluable experience for Toyota understanding American production, labor, management, and GM got to learn about TPS firsthand.
A win-win, sort of.
In many ways, yes. And it paved the way for Toyota's first wholly owned U.S. plant in Kentucky in '88. That really kicked off their major North American manufacturing footprint. By 2011, what was it, 14 plants?
Incredible scale. And Europe followed suit. UK in '92, Turkey in '94.
Similar pattern. But not just factories. They set up European design centers, R&D hubs, really prioritized local European suppliers, proper integration.
It wasn't just assembly, it was deeper.
Exactly. And a huge part of this was transplanting TPS and their supply chain philosophy. They encouraged their key Japanese suppliers to set up near the overseas plants.
Creating those efficient local clusters we hear about.
Right. Essential for just-in-time, cutting logistics costs,
Yeah.
tariffs, maintaining that global quality standard, and importantly, giving regional HQs more decision-making power.
And they weren't just building Corollas everywhere, right? They adapted the products too.
Absolutely. Market-specific vehicles like the Kijang in Indonesia, the Saluna in Thailand, even different versions of the Corolla for Europe really showed that commitment to local needs.
What about emerging markets later on? China, India, Brazil?
Yeah, 21st century focus, often a two-pronged approach. Affordable models for the growing middle class, but also their global bestsellers for those who could afford them.
China seemed like a cautious entry, though. Joint ventures with FAW, GAC.
Very calculated. Leveraging local partners' resources, networks, navigating a complex market, mitigating risks. Partnering with FAW gave them reach in the north. The Guangzhou base with Honda helped in the south. Smart.
And Southeast Asia, especially Thailand.
They were in early there, really benefited from the open investment climate. Thailand became a massive production hub, not just for the region, but globally, a key part of their network.
So looking back, this global expansion, it was a story of overcoming hurdles. Trade friction, cultural differences, local competition.
And crucially, learning and adapting. NUMI is the perfect example. It wasn't just about building factories, it was about building a truly global, adaptable operation.
Okay, so that adaptability was key. Now let's talk about the engine behind so much of that success. The Toyota Production System, TPS. More than just manufacturing, right?
Oh, much more. It's a core competitive advantage, really a global management philosophy. It's the bedrock of lean manufacturing. The goal, simple yet profound, eliminate waste, all waste.
To shorten cycle times, lower costs, boost efficiency and quality.
And respond super quickly to what customers actually need. Its origins in post-WWII, Japan, resource scarcity. That context is important.
And figures like Kichiro Toyota, E.G. Toyota, Taichi Ono, they looked at Ford's mass production.
And saw the good, but also the bad. The rigidity, the inefficiency, the huge piles of inventory just sitting there.
And the inspiration came from a supermarket. Piggly Wiggly.
Kind of amazing, isn't it? Seeing how supermarkets only restock shelves when customers actually took items, that customer pull idea was revolutionary compared to just pushing out products based on forecasts.
And the core philosophy, those 3 M's, muda,
Waste.
unevenness, in workload, in production pace,
And Miri.
overburden, on people, on machines. Eliminate those 3. And it all traces back to Sakichi Toyota's automatic loom.
The one that stopped itself if a thread broke.
Exactly. That's the root of Jidoka automation with a human touch.
Okay.
Machines that know when something's wrong. But underpinning it all is respect for people, making work better, more meaningful, empowering employees.
Okay, pillar 1. Just in time. JIT. Making only what is needed, when it is needed, in the amount needed. Sounds simple.
Deceptively simple. It minimizes lead time, slashes inventory. The core is the pull system. Downstream demand pulls production from upstream.
The opposite of just pushing stuff out hoping it sells. Right. And to make that work smoothly, you need high junka production leveling, smoothing out the volume, creating a stable, predictable pace. That allows for producing multiple different models in small batches efficiently.
And pillar 2, Jidoka. Automation with a human touch. So not just robots, but intelligent automation.
Exactly. Machines or lines stopping automatically if they detect an abnormality, a defect, a delay, or manually with the end-on cord, anyone can pull it.
It's a powerful statement, isn't it? Quality over just churning things out.
It is. The goal is build quality into the process. Stop problems immediately, prevent them moving downstream, forces immediate problem solving. And the and-on system, those lights showing where the stop occurred, makes it visible.
And Kanban enables JIT, those cards.
They're like the nervous system, visual signals on parts containers telling the upstream process exactly what to make, how many, and when. It enables the pull system. There are strict rules for how Kanban operates to keep the flow smooth.
And Kanban itself helps find problems.
Yeah, if cards pile up, you've got a bottleneck. If they run out, you're starved. It visualizes the flow and highlights issues.
And the fundamental goal of all this is eliminating muda, waste. What are the main types?
TPS identifies 8. Overproduction, the worst one. Waiting, unnecessary transport, overprocessing, excess inventory, unnecessary motion, defects, and non-utilized talent, wasting people's potential.
And all the tools, JIT, Jidoka, Kanban, standardized work, 5S organization, they're all aimed at spotting and killing these wastes.
Systematically.
The impact for Toyota was massive, wasn't it? Efficiency, speed, cost savings, quality.
Huge competitive advantages, lower inventory costs, shorter lead times, much better quality and reliability. That let them offer great cars at competitive prices. It's how they built that reputation, that Toyota Bank financial strength.
And it spread way beyond cars.
Yeah.
Healthcare, software, the whole lean movement.
Absolutely. That book, The Machine That Changed the World, really brought TPS to a global audience.
Oh, there are downsides.
Yeah.
Vulnerabilities.
Well, yes. It relies heavily on a stable supply chain and predictable demand. Disruptions, natural disasters, supplier issues, sudden demand shifts can really hurt when you have minimal inventory buffers. But the core principle remains: relentless pursuit of efficiency, quality, continuous improvement.
It's a mindset.
Definitely.
Okay, let's layer on another crucial element, that quality culture. It goes beyond just TPS processes, right?
Yeah.
It's embedded.
Oh, completely. That brand image for quality and reliability, that's decades of deliberate effort, a deeply ingrained culture. Customer first, quality first. These aren't just posters on the wall. It's driven by total quality management, TQM, Kaizen, continuous improvement, and crucially, total employee involvement.
They adopted TQM principles really early, didn't they? Back in the 50s, way ahead of many competitors.
They were, and their focus wasn't just meeting specs, but providing long-term fit for use, exceeding expectations. They saw quality as integral to everything, from design to service, very early on.
And they got recognized for those Deming and Japan Quality Control Awards in the 60s and 70s.
Significant achievements. It validated their approach, focusing on the customer, continuous improvement, and total participation.
Kaizen continuous improvement seems like the real heartbeat of it all. Small, ongoing improvements from everyone.
Exactly. It's not always about huge breakthroughs, and it relies on having standardized work. If you have a standard, you can easily spot deviations and suggest improvements. It's a bottom-up culture. Plus, concepts like Genshi Butsu, go see the problem for yourself, and Hansei, deep reflection after solving a problem to learn from it.
And Jidoka plays a huge role here, too. Stopping the line for quality.
Absolutely. Empowering any worker to halt production sends a powerful message. Quality trumps output speed. It stops defects spreading and builds quality in at the source.
What about Pokiyoke? Mistake proofing.
Designing things to prevent errors. Simple physical things like parts that only fit one way or sensors. It reduces human error, which is a major source of quality issues. And Mizunbushi trying to anticipate and prevent problems before they even happen.
And total participation. How do they make that real? Not just a slogan.
Through concrete systems. Like the Creative Idea Suggestion System, started way back in '51, encouraging, rewarding, and implementing employee ideas. Millions of suggestions over the years.
Wow.
And QC Circles, starting in '62. Small teams tackling quality issues in their own work areas, using quality tools, builds skills, solves problems. And as we said, the and-on system, trusting employees with stop-line authority. It creates a culture where problems are opportunities, not things to hide. Plus, strong emphasis on training, skill development, Genshi Genbutsu.
And the end result of all this
Yeah,
is that rock-solid reputation for reliability.
precisely. It starts in design, preferring proven tech, cautious adoption of new stuff, simplicity, rigorous testing, maybe even over-engineering parts. Then in manufacturing, strict standards, Jidoka, everyone involved in improvement, EATR early detection, early resolution. And after the sale, proactive tracking, recalls if noted, regardless of cost. Remember the 2010 Global Quality Special Committee? Huge investment after some issues.
Right, they took that very seriously.
All this builds that long-term trust, those top reliability rankings. It's a core asset.
Okay, final piece of the foundation. Hybrid hegemony. The Prius. It wasn't just a car, was it? It defined an era.
It absolutely did. It wasn't just a product, it was a statement. It showed Toyota's foresight, their technical muscle. It established them as the leader in early electrification for, well, over 2 decades. It fundamentally impacted the industry.
Where did it come from, that car for the 21st century project in the early 90s?
Exactly. Driven by environmental concerns, worries about future energy crises, the goal was incredibly ambitious. Double fuel efficiency without sacrificing convenience or range.
Because pure electric cars back then, they weren't really viable for the mass market.
Not really. Batteries were expensive, range was short, charging took ages. So Toyota engineers made a very strategic choice. The Series Parallel Hybrid System, THS, later HSD.
Combining petrol and electric power.
Right. Giving you electric UNI, driving at low speeds, blended power when needed, and regenerative braking to capture energy. Best of both worlds, essentially.
But developing it wasn't easy. Engine vibration, braking coordination, cooling.
Huge technical hurdles. They had to innovate across the board. They even used new model-based development methods to speed things up, getting it done in about 4.5 years. Pretty remarkable.
And then the launch in '97, the first mass-produced hybrid.
Groundbreaking. And each generation just got better, didn't it? Second gen, '03, had the redesign, lift-back shape, better system, huge global success. Third gen, '09, more efficient, more features, expanded the family with the plug-in and the bigger Prius plus F.
First, Gen 15 on the new TNGA platform, better handling, even more efficient.
More adventurous design, too. Fifth gen from '22, refining it further, more power options, sleeker look, continuous evolution.
And the market just loved it, especially when fuel prices were high or environmental awareness peaked.
Absolutely. Exceptional fuel economy was key. Being the first gave it that innovative image. Government incentives helped. Toyota's reliability reputation built trust in the new tech. And they kept improving it, expanding the range.
It became the hybrid, didn't it? Dominated the market for years.
Yeah, totally. By late 2013, Toyota Lexus had sold 5.5 million hybrids, Prius over 3 million of those. Early 2017, Prius family alone hit 6.1 million. Hybrids became and remain a massive part of their sales mix, especially in places like the US.
What was the broader strategic impact beyond sales?
Huge. It cemented Toyota as a tech leader, an environmental pioneer early on. They built up this huge bank of patents and expertise in batteries, motors, control systems, a foundation for everything else electric, including BEVs and FCEVs later.
Helped them meet regulations, too.
Definitely. Avoided penalties, enhanced the brand image green, innovative, reliable, and crucially, it gave them a strategic buffer. While BEV tech was maturing, they could dominate with hybrids, funding future R&D, pacing their transition.
So Prius and the hybrid strategy. It was product innovation, but also incredibly smart, far-sighted strategy.
Leveraging their strengths, creating a new segment, building a competitive moat for 2 decades, it deeply shaped where they are today and the choices they're making now.
Right. So after building this incredible foundation, global reach, TPS efficiency, quality culture, hybrid leadership, Toyota now faces this massive wave of disruption. Let's shift to part 2. Their strategies and challenges in these new territories.
Yeah, despite all that past success, electrification, and intelligence, it's a whole different ballgame. Unprecedented challenges.
Let's start with their hydrogen horizon.
Yeah.
The Mirai, their fuel cell vehicle. They seem really committed to this multi-pathway idea, not just going all in on batteries.
That's absolutely central to their thinking. Carbon neutrality, they argue, isn't a single path. Hydrogen, they believe, offers unique advantages where BEVs might struggle. Akio Toyoda himself has suggested BEVs might only hit, say, 30% market share globally.
So they see risks in betting everything on one horse.
Exactly. Their multi-pathway covers HEVs, PHEVs, BEVs, FCEVs, even green fuel combustion engines. Diversification. Hydrogen is seen as this potential clean energy carrier offering long-range, fast refueling.
Things people are used to with gasoline.
Right. Zero emissions like BEVs, but potentially better for long-haul, heavy transport, maybe areas with weak charging infrastructure.
And the Mirai is the flagship for this vision, launched back in 2015. A bold move then.
The world's first mass-produced hydrogen sedan, it proved the tech worked in a passenger car PEM fuel cell stack, converting hydrogen to electricity, emitting only water. Good range, fast refueling, production was limited, price was high, but those first 10,000 sales were important proof points.
And the second-gen Mirai from 2020 was a big improvement.
Yeah, much better range, design, performance, showed continued progress. But the Mirai is still partly a technology showcase promoting that wider hydrogen society vision.
And they're still investing heavily in FCEV R&D.
Definitely. Working on next-gen fuel cells, aiming for higher power, more range, modularizing the units for wider use trucks, buses, stationary power, like their BMW collaboration.
That portable hydrogen canister idea sounds intriguing, like swapping propane tanks.
It's innovative, a way to potentially bypass the need for fixed stations, making it more convenient, maybe lowering supply costs. They're also involved in building stations in Japan, exploring hydrogen combustion engines. They're exploring all angles.
So why stick with FCEVs when the market's been slow? What are the advantages they see over BEVs?
Well, range and refueling speed are the big ones, often longer range than comparable BEVs, and crucially, 3 to 5 minute refueling versus potentially hours for a BEV. That's attractive for certain users.
Commercial vehicles, maybe.
Yeah.
Long-distance drivers.
Exactly. Also, weight. Fuel cell systems are lighter than massive BEV battery packs, which helps with payload and towing capacity, especially for trucks. And performance in extreme cold tends to be better than BEVs, which can lose significant range. Toyota's fuel cells can start down to -30 Celsius and 0 tailpipe emissions like BEVs.
Okay, but the challenges are pretty stark, aren't they, compared to BEVs?
Oh, absolutely. First, overall energy efficiency well-to-wheel is lower.
Yeah.
Producing hydrogen, especially green hydrogen via electrolysis, takes a lot of energy. Then you lose more in transport, storage, conversion in the car.
Less efficient than just charging a battery from the grid.
Generally, yes, and the source of hydrogen is key. Most today is gray hydrogen from fossil fuels, releasing CO2. Green hydrogen is clean but expensive.
And the practical challenges. Infrastructure.
That's the biggest one. Very few hydrogen stations globally, patchy distribution, expensive to build, slow ROI. It's a chicken and egg problem. Even for the Paris Olympics, they had issues supplying enough hydrogen for just 500 vehicles. Station growth in North America has stalled or even reversed.
And costs.
Yeah.
Both the cars and the fuel.
Still very high. Fuel cells use platinum. Those high-pressure tanks are costly. The cars are expensive. And hydrogen fuel itself isn't price competitive yet. Plus, market acceptance is low, model choice is tiny compared to BEVs. BEVs are improving rapidly, costs are falling, charging infrastructure is growing much faster. It's tough competition.
What about safety perceptions? Hydrogen storage.
It needs high-pressure storage, 700 bar, for decent range, demanding robust tanks. Transport is complex. While safety is proven to be very high, public perception about flammability lingers for some, and policy support is less consistent than for BEVs.
So Toyota's hydrogen play. It's a long-term, high-risk, high-reward bet. Focus maybe more on heavy transport eventually.
Seems that way. It offers them options, fits the multi-pathway, but it risks diluting focus, especially from the urgent need to compete in BEVs. The future of mainstream hydrogen cars is, well, still very uncertain.
Right. Which brings us neatly to battery electric vehicles. Toyota, despite the hybrid lead, often seen as a bit slow off the mark with pure BEVs.
That's been the perception, yes. While Tesla and others surged ahead, Toyota leadership, especially Akio Toyota, seemed publicly quite skeptical about rapid BEV adoption. They favored hybrids, explored hydrogen, so they entered the BEV space later than many rivals, missing some early growth.
The Nissan Leaf came out way back in 2010.
Exactly. Tesla really changed the game. But reality bites. Tightening emissions rules globally, policy shifts favoring BEVs in key markets like China and Europe, fierce competition.
They realized hybrids and hydrogen weren't enough.
So that big announcement in late 2021, that was the pivot.
A major strategic shift.
Yeah.
Akio Toyota himself announced a much bigger BEV commitment, more models planned, 30 by 2030, higher sales targets, 3.5 million annually, way more investment in batteries. It signaled BEVs were now a core strategic pillar.
And the BZ4X was the first fruit of that, their first global BEV.
Yeah, spearheading the new Beyond Zero BZ sub-brand, built on the dedicated eTNGA platform with Subaru. It's a compact SUV hitting that really popular market segment.
The name, BZ4X, maybe not the catchiest.
No, widely seen as awkward, but it had front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive options, mid-60s kilowatt-hour battery, EPA range around 220, 250 miles. Decent specs on paper, latest safety tech.
How's it been received? Seems like a mixed bag. Very mixed. Pros. Ride comfort is generally good, smooth. Interior space, especially rear legroom, is decent. The driving feel is quite familiar, like a RAV4, which might appeal to existing Toyota buyers switching to EV. And recent price cuts have made it much more competitive cost-wise, boosting sales somewhat.
Okay, the cons. Range seems to be the big one.
Yeah, that's the major criticism. The EPA range is already just okay, but real-world tests, especially highway driving or in the cold, often show significantly less. That creates range anxiety. Charging speed is adequate at 150 kilowatt or peak, but lags competitors using 800-volt systems who can charge much faster.
Performance.
It's fine. Not sluggish, but definitely not thrilling, like a Model Y or Mach-E. And little things annoy reviewers' lack of true one-pedal driving, the controversial steering wheel instrument panel layout, which some find blocks the view. The interior feels a bit conservative compared to rivals.
And that name.
Yeah.
And the whole BZ brand strategy.
Yeah, confusing. There are even reports Toyota might be reconsidering the BZ branding. And that early recall for wheel bolts didn't help the quality image either.
So as a first global BEV, maybe not quite hitting the mark against strong competition.
It highlights the challenges. It's comfortable, has the Toyota reliability expectation, but lags on key EV metrics: range, charging, performance. The competition is fierce. Tesla Model Y, BYD's huge range, Hyundai Ioniq 5, Kia EV6, Ford Mustang Mach-E, VW ID.4. Many offer more in key areas.
And Toyota's BEV market share reflects that lag.
Significantly. Their overall electrified sales, including hybrids, are strong, but pure BEV share is small compared to Tesla, BYD, even GM, Ford, Hyundai Group in markets like the US. They're playing catch-up.
But they have plans. More models, better tech.
Oh, yes, big plans. Aiming for 10 new BEVs by 2026, 1.5 million annual sales. Heavy investment in next-gen batteries, especially solid-state. They claim breakthroughs there, promising much better range, faster charging, lower cost. That's seen as key to their comeback.
Solid state is the holy grail for many.
It is. Plus, adopting things like gigacasting for production efficiency, like Tesla, and optimizing their dedicated EV platforms. They plan to leverage their global network and hybrid customer base, but they need to deliver much stronger products faster.
It's a huge challenge to replicate their hybrid success in the pure EV world.
Massive. The jury's still out.
Okay, third area, autonomous driving, the next frontier after electrification, Toyota. Safety-focused, deep engineering, but maybe seemed a bit conservative on level 45 autonomy compared to Waymo or Tesla.
That's fair. Their approach has been more measured, guided by that zero traffic accidents vision, integrating people, cars, environment.
They've widely deployed Toyota Safety Sense, their ADS suite. That's level 2, right? Driver assist.
Right. Features like adaptive cruise, lane keeping, shows commitment to bringing safety tech to the masses. And they invested heavily early on with the Toyota Research Institute, TRI, in 2015, focusing on AI, robotics, AD fundamentals.
And Woven Planet, now woven by Toyota, that's their software push.
Exactly. Developing AD software platforms like Areno S, high-def maps, mobility tech. They even bought Lyft's Level 5 AD division, so they're definitely investing. But leadership, like TRI's Gil Pratt, has been consistently realistic, saying true Level 5 is still very far off. More cautious messaging than some others.
But this Waymo collaboration announced in 2025, that feels like a potential game changer. Partnering with the leader?
A huge development. They're jointly developing a new AV platform, combining Toyota's manufacturing expertise with Waymo's leading AV tech software, sensors, the whole stack.
And the really big news, exploring Waymo tech for privately owned Toyotas.
That's the kicker, potentially bringing Waymo's capabilities beyond robotaxis into consumer cars, enhancing driver assist, maybe higher levels of autonomy eventually. Waymo will also use Toyota vehicles in its robotaxi fleet.
What does this mean for Toyota? A way to fast-track their AD tech.
Absolutely. Access top-tier tech, operational experience, bridge that perceived gap, shorten R&D, maybe accelerate deployment. It's pragmatic, acknowledging internal efforts might not be enough alone, boosts their tech image too, and offers potentially much more advanced features for future cars.
And for Waymo, opens up a massive new market, licensing tech to the world's biggest car maker.
Huge potential. A shift from just running robotaxis to potentially becoming a Tier 1 supplier of AV systems for consumer vehicles. Massive scale. And it's a direct challenge to Tesla's FSD approach in the personal car space. Significant.
The AV landscape is complex, though. Waymo's multi-sensor approach versus Tesla's vision only.
Very different philosophies. Waymo uses LiDAR, radar, cameras, HD maps operating driverless taxis in several cities, claiming strong safety records. Tesla uses cameras and AI deployed on millions of cars via autopilot FSD beta, still level 2, requires driver monitoring, aiming for full autonomy via software.
And others like Cruise, GM's venture, facing setbacks, Zoops, Amazon, Mobileye.
Lots of players. Cruise is rebuilding after issues. Zoox is developing robo-taxis. Mobileye is a major AD supplier moving towards higher autonomy, plus many others in trucking, and Chinese companies like Baidu Apollo, Pony.ai. Traditional automakers are also developing tech or partnering.
And we're still mostly at level 2 in consumer cars. Level 3 is rare. Level 4, mainly robotaxis in specific areas. Level 5, still science fiction.
Pretty much. Level 3 conditional automation is appearing in very limited forms. Level 4, high automation in defined areas, is what Waymo Cruise robo-taxis do. Level 5, anywhere, anytime, is the distant goal. This Toyota Waymo deal likely aims to bring Level 3, maybe eventually Level 4 features, to personal cars. But the timeline is unclear.
So Toyota's traditional pragmatism, maybe slow internal progress, but now a potentially transformative partnership with Waymo. Interesting times.
Definitely. A crucial move to stay competitive in the intelligence race.
Okay, we've covered the past successes, the current strategies in hydrogen, BEVs, and autonomous driving. Let's move to part 3 and synthesize this. How can Toyota actually integrate its traditional strengths, TPS, quality, with all this future disruption?
That is the fundamental challenge, isn't it? Blending that incredible legacy with the demands of a completely new automotive era.
Can TPS and that quality culture really be applied effectively to making batteries or complex autonomous systems?
They absolutely have to be. TPS principles, lean, efficiency, waste reduction, are crucial for optimizing complex, costly processes like battery module and pack production. Lowering costs there is vital. And the rigorous quality control, Jidoka, Kaizen, that's essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of batteries and AD systems. Consumers need to trust this new tech. Toyota's move towards gigacasting also fits that TPS efficiency mindset.
And does their decades of hybrid experience give them a real leg up in the transition to full electric?
It should. They have deep expertise in electric motors, battery management systems, BMS, power control units, PCU, core components shared with BEVs and FCEVs. That shortens the learning curve. They also have a mature supply chain for electrified parts already established.
And hybrids are still selling well, providing profits to fund the new stuff.
Exactly. Hybrids offer that stable revenue stream and also act as a bridge for consumers, getting them used to electrification gradually. It's a significant advantage.
But that multi-pathway strategy, HEV, PHEV, BV, FCEV, is it smart diversification or spreading themselves too thin?
It's the big debate. The upside is flexibility reduces risk if one technology stalls, caters to diverse global market needs, but the downside is resource dilution. Can they really invest enough in BEVs to compete with Tesla or BYD when they're also funding hydrogen R&D? It can also create strategic ambiguity, confusing investors and consumers.
A risk of being a jack of all trades, master of none.
Potentially, especially in the hyper-competitive BEV space.
Right.
If BEs become totally dominant, being spread thin could be a major disadvantage.
What about the corporate culture? That famous stability, consensus-driven approach, Nimawashi. Can that adapt quickly enough?
That's a real challenge. Decision-making might be slower than rivals. And the shift to software dominance requires a profound change, different skills, different mindset. While they have woven by Toyota, they're still playing catch-up on software compared to tech natives. Traditional manufacturing is often risk-averse. Tech breakthroughs often need bigger bets.
So they need to balance reliability with more agility and maybe a bigger appetite for risk.
Finding that balance is key. And Akio Toyota's recent moves, the BEV acceleration, the Waymo deal, this potential Tico acquisition, maybe that's an attempt to inject more speed and control.
Interesting point. If he consolidates control via Tico, maybe that helps push through changes faster.
It could unify thinking, speed up decisions, resist short-term market pressures during the transition, ensure long-term strategies get executed, but, it could also raise corporate governance questions.
Right. Okay, let's crystallize Toyota's position now with a quick SWOT analysis.
Huge brand trust, TPS efficiency, and quality adaptable to new tech, strong financials, hybrid leadership providing a bridge, global reach, loyal customers, massive strengths.
Weaknesses.
Relative lag in competitive BEVs, perceived slower pace in high-level AD until recently, maybe a slower culture, confusing EV branding, BZ, need for stronger software skills, Clear challenges.
Opportunities.
Leverage hybrids for EV transition, Waymo partnership for AD Leap, emerging market growth, FCEV potential in niche sectors, battery breakthroughs, solid state, applying TPS to new manufacturing, lots potential.
Threats.
Intense BEV competition, Tesla, BYD, others, rapid tech change, faster than expected BEV adoption leaving them behind, regulations, supply chain risks, hydrogen infrastructure hurdles, cybersecurity, significant headwinds.
So based on that, what are the key strategic imperatives for Toyota?
Well, first, accelerate and focus the BEV strategy. Deliver truly competitive products, better range, faster charging, compelling performance. Simplify the branding, control costs. Get solid-state batteries commercialized faster if possible.
Maximize that Waymo partnership.
Absolutely. Deep integration, rapid deployment to enhance their tech image and capabilities. Explore the data synergies. Seize that opportunity.
How should they talk about the multi-pathway?
They need to communicate the logic clearly, emphasize their BEV commitment strongly so it doesn't look like foot dragging, but also frame the broader approach as pragmatic and reliable, playing to their strengths.
And hydrogen?
Focus at strategically heavy transport, specific industrial uses where it makes most sense. Manage market expectations for passenger cars. Keep innovating. Collaborate with industry on infrastructure.
Well,
Definitely strengthen software and connectivity. User experience is critical now. Improve the human-machine interface, leverage data, and use that incredible brand trust to build confidence in their new electric and autonomous tech. Service network is a huge asset there, too.
okay, pulling it all together then.
Yeah.
Toyota's path to maintaining leadership. What's the final analysis? Can they do it?
Look, Toyota is this giant that defined an era. They stand at maybe the most challenging point in their history. Their legacy, global network, trust, manufacturing prowess, hybrid lead, that's a solid foundation. But the waves of electrification and intelligence are hitting hard and fast.
And competitors like Tesla and BYD aren't waiting around.
Not at all. And traditional rivals are transforming too. Toyota's relative lag in BEVs and high-level AD has been noticeable. The key is balancing tradition and innovation, embracing disruption while holding on to core strengths.
That multi-pathway strategy still feels like a calculated risk.
It is. It reflects their stability, maybe risk aversion, but risks dilution. With BEVs now mainstream, they must show more urgency and deliver winning products there. Hydrogen feels more like a long-term strategic option, dependent on external factors.
And autonomous driving. The Waymo deal seems crucial.
Undoubtedly. A smart move to accelerate, compensate for maybe slower internal progress. It could shift the battleground from just robotaxis to personal cars, directly challenging Tesla. But integration takes time, success isn't guaranteed.
And the potential TECO acquisition adds another layer of complexity.
Yeah, could help drive change, could raise governance issues. We'll see.
So, looking ahead, challenges are huge, but chances are there.
Absolutely. Their core strengths, manufacturing, quality, brand, finances are still formidable. Adaptability is part of their Kaizen culture. They've navigated crises before. If they can truly inject TPS and quality into baby battery production, achieve cost and quality advantages.
If they leverage hybrids effectively for the transition.
If they rapidly boost their intelligence via Waymo.
If they achieve those battery breakthroughs.
Then yes, Toyota is fully capable of catching up, maybe even leading again. But it depends on leadership focus, organizational execution, reading the market shifts correctly, and responding fast.
So a pivotal moment. Okay. The challenges are immense, but Toyota's resources, experience, and that drive for improvement mean you absolutely cannot count them out. Their transformation journey will keep shaping the entire industry.
It certainly will. It's one of the biggest stories in business right now.
Thank you for joining us. See you next time.